Welcome back to Baron's New Vegas Gun Guides, and this time we are tackling the faster firing cousin of the silenced 22 pistol, in a theme that should be apparent soon in the coming videos. The silenced 22 SMG is the bottom for damage out of the SMG class, but does have some fringe benefits. Now whether or not those fringe benefits sell you on the gun, we'll just have to discuss. The silenced 22 SMG is based on the American 180 SMG, almost entirely, which was chambered in 22 long rifle, like the gun in game, and it was built in the 1960s. The American 180 was itself based off an even rarer gun, the Ghouls Model 290, which differed in its standard magazine in a more complex manufacturing process, which made it much more expensive than the American 180 and limited it to about 60 guns. The major difference between these two guns and the gun in-game is that the two guns were not integrally suppressed, and with their open bolts would have made quite a loud noise just in the action of the bolt. Now, for the name, the Ghouls name comes from its magazine capacity, but weirdly the American 180 has a capacity of 177 rounds, and I do not know why it's called as such. But it is good to note that the American 180 is actually still in production, although in limited quantities, and can be bought on the civilian market, although heaven knows how expensive it is. But it is famous among some dictators and military leaders. But onto the damage. Much like its real-life bases, the silenced 22 SMG is noted for its low damage and penetration. In real life, the high fire rate of such a gun would quickly overheat and weaken body armor, especially soft body armor, but sadly the same does not occur in game, as it's very difficult to actually break your enemy's armor while you're in combat with them. With a damage of 10 per shot, only one more than the silenced 22 pistol, it won't be cutting through power armor anytime soon. With a fire rate of 11 shots per second, the DPS is a cool and easy 110 damage per second. And thanks to its 180 round magazine and only 2.3 second reload, its sustained DPS is still a very impressive 96.3. But against armor you will start to notice a steep decrease in damage. However, it is good to note that most animals do not have enough damage threshold to reduce the damage from this gun. Now, with a lot of guns, Vats is your friend. In Vats, it fires in burst, something you'll start to notice with other automatic weapons. In this case, it is a burst of 6 shots for 19 AP and 10 damage a pop, which is 3.16 damage per AP altogether, which is quite good. Although an enemy with moderate DT will reduce this high ratio, it's still quite impressive. Now for the crit chance multiplier, and this is our first automatic weapon, so it acts quite strangely. The silenced 22 SMG actually is better than any other SMG in the game for crit chance. And that's a good thing because it definitely needs it, just like the silenced 22 pistol. How it works in the game is that its base chance is actually divided by its shots per second, in which case, even though it has the highest multiplier, it still has a very low multiplier per bullet at 0.23 times. But like the pistol, it adds double damage on top, for a total of 30 damage per crit. If my math and understanding is right, using Vats will add another 0.9% to this, and some of the data that I've done actually shows this. And that's a chance per projectile when used in Vats. And that really makes this gun a really good choice in close combat, or even for late game crit builds. Sneak attacks, although hard to pull off when combat starts, can net 60 damage with standard ammo, which is very impressive. However, we gotta talk about the downsides. With an abysmal spread of 2, because no one thought to add a stock, unlike the real-life guns, it is downright frustrating to hit people in the open desert. Although it has a very open V-notch foresight, its rear sight is a peephole, and so it's not really made for long-range plinking. But in a cave or building, it burns through ammo and the inhabitants. Now, unlike the silenced 22 pistol, it has another negative, and that's its cost. It is not cheap. It is in fact an expensive and heavy gun. At 1,850 caps for an 8-weight unit gun, it is an investment. And it does have an expanded drum at 1,100 caps for an ammo capacity upgrade to 240 bullets. Now, however, the ammo is still very affordable. 1 cap per round of standard, and only 2 caps per round of hollow point, which raises the damage by 75%, so 17 to 18 damage, but increases the AP of the enemy by 3. And of course the very cheap plinking ammunition with 25 caps for 100 rounds, which decreases the damage by 0.85 of normal damage. Now the SMG can burn through a lot of these, 4,995 of them to be exact, before it starts to break, which is actually a not so surprising 21 reloads of the modified SMG, but you will find it hard to drain that 240 round magazine. At a strength requirement of 2 and a gun skill requirement of 50, it's an easily accessible gun, but getting one is much harder. The Fiends of Vault 3 are the easiest and cheapest source. The Chairmen have a few in their ranks at the tops. Lake Look Cave has one in a duffel bag, but it might possibly be the most dangerous. But finally, the good folks at the Gunrunners have a brand new one, just for you, although it will cost you a pretty penny. As with the Silenced 22 pistol, there is no unique 22 SMG, which one of the main fun facts about that is it makes its reload animation unique by that omission at least. However, there is one thing I must say before we wrap it up, and that's due to how Fallout New Vegas' stealth works. This SMG isn't the best for a sneaky assassin, because enemies tend to get alerted very quickly whenever you're in Vats and shooting at them. But really, when you think about it, this SMG is perfect, especially the later in the game as you get, because really, what are you going to do with all that 22 long rifle ammo? Sell it? Probably not. Now, all in all, this gun is actually pretty great. When I was using it for this test, or for the footage you see in the video, I was surprised at how easily it punches through radscorpions. It is amazing with that fact. It is an awesome pest control SMG. And, you know, if you can find enemies that aren't too armored, it's a great pest control because those enemies are probably bugging you.